My name is Michael Menashe and I'm the director of Benaya Art Ceramics, and I'm responsible for managing the design house for Benaya. My friend Drew from Premier Gift requested me to put together a brief video explaining the basic highlight points on our product range to help you guys, the sales reps, in meeting and representing our products with your accounts and retailers. Okay, cool. So we're going to start off. The Benaya line can be broken into three basic categories. There's Benaya Garden, Benaya Porcelain, and then Benaya Ceramic Tiles. Okay, we're going to start first with the ceramic tiles because this is probably the first product that we brought to market, and as well still to this day our leading product as far as volume of sales. Okay, the Benaya Art Ceramics can be broken into two different categories. The first category is functional and the second category is decorative. So we're going to start with the decorative. Our number one selling product in the Benaya Art Tile range is our 11-inch by 14-inch tiles and our 12-inch by 12-inch tile plaques. These Benaya tiles have always been phenomenal. I'm assuming the main reason is because of the larger surface allows you to put more artwork on it and to portray a better theme and story. Okay. So we're going to start with a brief explanation about the process of how they're made and then go into some of the higher selling points which a lot of retailers often want to know. Okay, first thing is, when we start with our tiles, we start with the raw bisque, which is what you see here. This raw bisque is very different than most types of tiles that you see in the sense that most hand-painted tiles start with a machine-made bisque that's been machine glazed and then just simply hand painted on top. Rather, what Benaya Tile does is we start with the actual raw grainy bisque, and then we build the surface up and fire it into the raw bisque. Therefore, what you see is permanent, never fade, never dull, indoors, outdoors, winter, rain, doesn't matter. Throw whatever you got at it, except for the kitchen sink, and this thing will survive. It's beautiful. Okay, so the actual process. You begin with a stencil. Lay a stencil down on top, chalk bag, remove the stencil, and little dots will be left behind that portray the image you see. They then take a pencil, they redraw it, connect all the dots, and then you have a completely drawn image onto the raw bisque. The next step is to add the slip work. This is the relief lines that you feel on top of the tile. Now this is can be simply described as, imagine a baker putting icing on a cake. So you would take the porcelain clay, put it inside the tube, and then gently squeeze it out through a needle nose. That needle nose will produce a light, thin trail of the porcelain clay that they then apply on top of everything that they drew. So all of this slip trail that you see has all been hand applied, and they've traced everything that they've drawn in order to create this beautiful textured and three-dimensional relief look. The next stage is the painting. Now the glazes we use are all old world traditional glazes. This isn't a modernized process by any means. So what it simply is the raw elements like copper, zinc, iron ore, nickel, gold. All of these, when fired at a high temperature, will have a chemical reaction and will release a color. So, what they simply do, well, actually nothing simple about it, they apply the paint to the bisques. In some cases, it's like a simple 1-2 coat. In other cases, they're applying 5, 6, 7 different colors, layering them one on top of each other, and then firing them in to produce like this beautiful sort of bleeded color, eclectic look you see on the back of this tile here. An interesting point about the paints, because this is done the old world style, all the elements, all the paints or glazes are based on elements. So when you're painting them, they all look like the color mud. It's just one muddy color after another. It's not until you actually fire it that the chemical reaction occurs, the nuclei explodes and releases the color. So when the artist was painting this tile, although we see blue, all they saw was reddish brown. We see yellow, again, they just saw a different version of red and brown. It's not until it's actually fired that you get to see these colors. And that's the brilliant part about these artists. We're talking about years and years of training just to get the basics down. Then you're talking about a decade of experience to be able to do something beautiful and complex like this. Seeking out talent in this industry is difficult, and it takes a lot of time. I mean, we would love to be able to produce, 40-foot containers every other week. It's just not possible. It has to be an incredibly controlled process to guarantee super high quality results. Okay, now there's an incredible video all about this, taking you on a tour of the factory. Drew has this. If you want to get a beautiful in-depth description with visual images of everything I just said, please contact Drew. He will get that video out to you. Tons of retailers, they get it on a CD and they play it in their stores beside the product in order to illustrate just how much work went into making one of these pieces. Now, as I said, the line has two sides, the decorative and the functional. So the decorative tiles, they come mounted with a simple felt backing, an easel so it could stand, and a hook so it can hang. On the other hand, we have the functional Benaya tiles, which is our coasters and our trivets. So for example, a set of 4 by 4 inch coasters, or a trivet is 6 inches by 6 inches, or 8 inches by 8 inches. Now these tiles are made the exact same way as these tiles, as the decorative tiles. The only difference is the backing. We put a backing on the coasters and trivets that can lie flat, so it can be used. It has a hole so it can hang, and as well it has an easel you can pull out to stand them up. Now please, I understand these are very decorative and very gorgeous, but they were 100% functional. You can take a pot out of your oven at the highest temperature imaginable and drop it right on top of a trivet. That trivet can stand up to 1,800 Fahrenheit. There is nothing coming out of your oven that can come even close to that. Okay. And again, for the coasters, hot mugs, no worries. It's completely safe, good to go. Alright, so that basically wraps up the tiles. Now there is one thing I do want to talk about, and that's the ability to identify a handmade tile from traditional, where you're building up the actual surface, versus a current, more modern style of taking a machine-made tile and then just doing some hand painting on it. Now, one of the easiest ways to tell this are the nuances, and one of the most obvious nuances and easiest ones to pull out is called crazing. Now crazing is just simply the tile, because this is alive, this type of ceramic, and it breathes. As a result, every time it takes a breath in, it expands, breathes out, it contracts. What you're left with is a very thin hairline crack inside the glaze. You cannot feel the crack, you can only basically see the crack. Now this hairline crack is not a fault. This is a natural process to this tile. It happens in all forms of old world ceramics that we still encompass in today's daily life. A great example of this is if you've ever seen an antique lamp, and if you've ever seen those lines that you see across it, that is crazing. When that lamp was first made, it did not have a single line on it. Only after 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, 80 years, 100 years, did finally it breathe enough times that you had a nice even coat of those crazed lines around it. That in short is crazing. I'm going to try to bring a sample up to the camera lens, and hopefully you guys can check this out for yourselves. I don't know, is that focusing? Yeah, not really. Okay, you guys are going to have to just take my word on this one. What crazing is and what it looks like. Now, I searched high and low for this tile. Crazing should not be mistaken with a crack, okay? If you can see the white bisque through the line, that is a crack. And of course, that's damaged product, which we will stand behind. However, crazing is a natural process. It actually is a way for you to know this is a handmade product. And for any retailers that have concerns, please, on page 45 of the catalog, there's an entire write-up about nuances of handmade tiles. how to tell the real ones from the machine-made fake ones. The other way is there's an information sheet which you can send to retailers that they can put into an acrylic stand and hold it beside the product. That way there's no talk, no explanation needed on the retailer's behalf. Simply customers can read it, understand what they're consuming, and purchase it with confidence. Okay, let's move on to the second part of the line, which is our porcelain. Now, our porcelain looks very similar to our tiles, but it's different. It's different in the sense that A, it doesn't have the high glaze, and B, this is categorized into modern made and, if you will, dead ceramics. Now, what makes something dead versus alive is the fact that this is glazed 100% 360. This no longer breathes, so therefore crazing can no longer occur. And as well, being modern day ceramics, it incorporates things that we use on a functional level. So these are dishwasher safe, microwave safe, food safe. Everything to make this an everyday use item in someone's home. Whereas our tiles, although they can be used as trivets and as coasters, they cannot be used as food. They are not food safe. A really important point. People always see this and say, oh, what a great cheese tray this would make. No. Okay, not by any stretch of the imagination. These are not food safe. These are done intentionally adding lead in order to make it pop, glow, be dynamic, to have that shine. The ability to be in a storefront window for years and never fade. The ability to be grouted and mounted outdoors. That kind of durability comes from incorporating leads into the glazes. So please be very clear for customers that not to be confused. Yes, all of our porcelain is food safe, which are like the molded items, but any of our flat items, they are not food safe. Okay, cool. Now let's get into the process of the porcelain. Again, modern day ceramics meeting old world kind of twists, and absolutely love this product range. Okay, super fun. They first start with making the mold, exactly as you see here. So this would have been originally